Greetings, everyone. DFG here. Hey, guys, let me get this out of the way right now. North American Freedom of Trade Act, NAFTA. I did a video last week with one of my brothers, and I think I messed that thing up every kind of way I could possibly think of. But that's what NAFTA is, the North American Free Trade Act. Okay? So NAFTA. That said, a couple of things I want to talk about. In continuation to the video around restitution, Martin Luther King talking about us being exiled in our own land. I know I may have stumbled around with my wording, especially in the early part of the video, and then got to the meat and then the potatoes later on. But again, just re-emphasizing the importance, you know what I'm saying? And this message, again, is to, people of, black people, Aboriginal, copper, color people. And for anybody else who want to listen in, then you can listen into this message as well. But my message, in terms of the things that Martin Luther King spoke about, in terms of him being on point on why he was in Washington, D.C., for the so-called I Have a Dream speech. Everybody seemed to only remember that it was all about integration. And although integration was, I would say, the overarching message, the meat and potatoes of that message had everything to do with justice for copper-colored people, understanding that America has been totally unfair to copper-colored people, and it's still going on. I mean, anytime you got, over 1 million men of color, black men, let me be clear, because I heard someone say the other day when I say black men, they think I'm trying to oversaturate it by including other so-called minorities. When you hear me say, people of color, I'm talking about copper-colored, Native American, Aboriginal people who were here when this place was called Turtle Island thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. So let's make that perfectly clear. I'm not advocating for Asians, and I'm not advocating for, Mexicans, and, they can advocate for themselves. I'm advocating for our people, and I'm absolutely advocating for me. Okay, so when you hear me talking about that, just to be crystal clear on where I'm coming from, I don't want to confuse you on that. But the message in itself is an American message. And Martin Luther King's message was, when is America is going to be true to what America professes is her basis of truth? The land of opportunity, the land where every man can come in and pull itself up, by his own bootstraps. And as Martin Luther King said, he said, don't ask me to pull myself up by my bootstraps when you won't even have the decency to allow me the opportunity to buy a pair of boots. And that's the issue in America as it relates to copper-colored people. And we know it's still true because, again, you look at the mass incarceration, prison numbers. You look at the poverty level. You look at, home ownership. Every true measurable, homicide, where the drugs and the guns are being allowed into, where the policing is simply there as more of an occupying force, practicing, in the most part, racial discrimination. What I mean by practicing racial discrimination, racial profiling. Looking at black men and black women like they're predators. That's what I mean when I say racial discrimination by the police department. Profiling. That's your word. So that's a nice little word to put on racism. They say, well, they're profiling blacks. No, they're practicing racism against so-called black people in these communities and outside of the communities as well. Because I sure don't want to make this appear as though, a man of color cannot be riding down the highway and get pulled over and shot down just like he can walk through a mall, Hoover, Alabama, and get shot 3 times in the back for carrying a legal firearm because somebody else was shooting. Many other people had guns. But somehow when the police came up, the only one they felt comfortable shooting was a 21-year-old licensed to carry son of a Hoover, Alabama police department. Yeah, get him. We know if we get him, everybody's just going to, just say, oh, well, what did they expect? A big black man with a gun? What would you have done? Well, maybe drop the gun. Would have worked. Maybe stop. Maybe the fact that he was running in the opposite direction away from me would have been enough reason for me not to shoot him. I could have like used those radios you have. You follow me? All those security cameras that you have. You know, the resources that we as taxpayers pay for the equipment you supposedly need to be able to police the community, police the country better. You know, all that stuff we invested in you so that you can effectively do your job, so you wouldn't have to resort to barbaric actions towards men and women of color. Yeah. See, some of us know, you know, where our tax dollars go, at least supposedly. We didn't realize we were paying our tax dollars, though, to arm, you know, you guys, you know, to kill us at your discretion. We didn't, you know. I think it took us a minute to wake up to that. But maybe we're waking up to it now. But moving right along. So Martin Luther King talked about restorations. He talked about justice. He talked about fairness. And he said, getting your way. Just like Malcolm X says, at the end of the day, not your way. Because we're not children. We don't need it our way. We need you just to get the hell out of the way in terms of stopping our progress and killing us at random, limiting our access to the same things that you would want your children and your loved ones and yourselves to have access to. And so when we talk about by any means necessary, he meant, and what I mean is that anything that it takes to get you out of the way. So if it's peaceful negotiation, all that's good. But if it's aggressive violence, all that's good. Just any means necessary. As the old Burger King slogan used to go, have it your way. All right? If you want to, you know, well, you don't have a choice in it anyway, so we're not going anywhere. This is our home. You're a guest. You know, I guess a permanent residence, but this is our home. We are not going anywhere, so forget about it. So you guys who are listening to the video who have friends who are other than copper color, you ought to pass this message on to them. Maybe you can't articulate that. Maybe you are not comfortable saying that, so you ought to say, guess what this guy said on the video. He's talking about America being, you know, copper color people home. You know, I'll do the dirty work. I'll do the heavy lifting. It's not dirty work, but I'll do the heavy lifting if you're not comfortable with doing it. Let's go on to Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is the football player. Kareem Hunt, right? Kareem Hunt, I'm sorry. Football player, Kansas City football player who got into confrontation with a Caucasian female, and then about, I guess, almost a year ago, and now he's suspended from the NFL for what they said is acts of violence against a woman. Now, obviously, no man in his right mind is going to act out violently towards a woman. No man in his right mind. I'm not saying men don't do it. If he's in his right mind, he's not going to do that. He already understands that it's... I don't even have to explain myself. He don't understand that he's not in his right mind. Okay, let's just leave it at that. But no man in his right mind should be expected not to defend himself. And it's interesting that they make this issue about, you know, him defending himself and not about the actions that caused him to have to defend himself. Like a drunken groupie chasing him everywhere he goes, so drunk that she follows him up to his room, so drunk that she calls him a nigger, so drunk that she goes and attack him. If you watch that video, she's going hard and aggressively trying to attack him. And even his girlfriend is trying to fight her off of him. And so in defense of himself, you know, he got the old, you know, black man raped black woman. Let's go with the ropes. And let's make sure we hang his black ass. We know that story. It's nothing new. That's nothing new there. Okay, let's exploit this. Not forget that maybe she invited him to her home. Remember Rosewood when her husband was at work? Remember Rosewood and then her, you know, and then the boyfriend. Remember Rosewood got mad at her. Remember Rosewood kicked her ass. Remember Rosewood, and then she came out and said nigga raped her or tried to rape her. Go back and watch the movie. This is a true story. I wouldn't even bring it up if it wasn't a documented true story. So there's nothing new under the sun there. You follow me? Just go out there and say a black man did it. You know, remember, what's her name? Susan? The lady in South Carolina who took and drowned her kids and then claimed that a black guy kidnapped her children in her car and then drove her car away and our children were missing. And later to only find out that a homegirl killed her own kids and blamed it on, the black guy. Again, not talking about this man being, not saying that he didn't do what the video obviously showed that he did, but that video shows what everybody did, and everybody's complicit in that. And here's my feelings about it. If anybody puts their hands on you, protect yourself. If anybody put their hands on you, protect yourself. Anybody puts their hands on you, protect yourself. And any man in his right mind is not going to put his hands on no female. And any woman in her right mind is not going to put her hands on a male. I don't know there's nothing complicated about that. That's, back in the day we called that common sense. But also common sense is not common. I get it. But if you put yourself in a situation where there could be a physical violence, then you should be expecting physical violence. And anyone who's observing it from a outside, review should also say, hey, look, there's two sides to that story there, and both sides are right there in our face. We shouldn't be taking and destroying one guy's career and calling him a big black abusive brute, and the other one over there, 19-year-old stinking drunk under the age for drinking. And I'm not judging her for it. I'm just calling it out. Since we're calling him out, let's call her out too. Groupie running around bars chasing after NFL football players. For what reason? I wonder why. I wonder what she had on her mind. Oh, I get it. She just wanted his autograph. But, I digress. So, long story short here is that, for men of color and women, but men of color in particular, copper colored people, this injustice that you're confronting with is not going to go away by pretending that it does not exist. It's not going to go away by sitting around having conversations, on the corners with your boys every now and then after you get finished talking about who won the game last night. It's not going to go away by allowing yourself to be disrespected, your communities to be disrespected. It's not going to go away by just remaining ignorant. What I mean by ignorant, having no idea. Not because you're incapable of it. Maybe the better word should have been being idiots about it. You can be ignorant about something because you just don't know. But an idiot is knowing about it and not doing anything to address it. So being an idiot is not going to make this go away either. Just for the record. And these black queens, close this that way. These so-called black queens. I looked up earlier. This is the definition of a black queen for you black men who can't seem to get out of your own way. Because you got everything. It's old saying, you strain you swallow a camel and you strain on a gnat. You're so busy running around talking about black queen, black queen. Well, she's a black queen. That should make you a black king. And let me tell you something about a king. A king practices rulership. Especially when it comes down to his state, his community, and his people. So how is she your black queen unless you are doing the things that I just stated? If she's really a queen. Because here's the definition of a queen. It's a female ruler of an independent state, especially one who inherits the position by right of birth. So she's your black queen because she was born that way. Okay, king. What are you creating that says that you have the right to call her your black queen? Are you a king? Are you acting like a king? Oh, unless, wink, wink, there's another definition of a black queen or a queen. It says a woman who's behaving in an unpleasant and superior way towards others. Let me say that again. Black women, I want you to hear this. Copper color. A queen. A woman behaving in an unpleasant and superior way towards others. Like putting your hands on a man and not expecting him to defend himself. Cussing him out, disrespecting him, calling him nigger, etc. That's it. Love you guys.